All right, welcome to episode 24 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter, Henry, Brian Fonseca here. Yeah. And Brian's a little bit too hyped today.
You gotta relax. You gotta relax.
You gotta relax. You gotta.
Everybody in this room.
Well, we're continuing Women's History Month, Women in Sports, and we have another lady here in the hot seat, Jazmine August, representing Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Always happy when another Brooklynite is here.
Of course.
Always happy to keep Brooklyn strong on this side of the table. East Brooklyn strong on this side of the table.
I don't like the way you're looking at me when you say that.
Yeah, and where you from?
What's that supposed to mean?
No, I'm just curious. Clearly you're not from Brooklyn.
He didn't want to say. He's like, what's that?
Well, Ridgewood technically, but Ridgewood, Bushwick area.
So you're from Brooklyn?
No, he's from Ridgewood. That's Queens.
Yo,
don't try to claim the Brooklyn side of it.
Crawl down my block. You'll be in Brooklyn.
He's very close because I've been to his area in Ridgewood.
Now we're giving away too much.
To Long Island City.
If anybody comes to my house, I'm smacking the hell out of it.
So he's really
no, I'm
really
not by
close.
Long Island
really
City. I actually don't like Long Island City, Astoria, like that part of Queens. Sorry, Matt. Because what's it called?
Long Island City.
It's far to get to. That's why I don't like. The thing I don't like about Queens is that you have to take a bus everywhere, and I say that while writing for a Queens, Brooklyn-based newspaper. But
don't be hating. We just let you know. Don't be hating.
Brooklyn's a better borough than Queens. Brooklyn is the best borough in the city.
Absolutely.
Right,
and then probably Manhattan.
I'm glad you know. Oh no! You know what? Nah, you can't. Somebody
get the mic, Greg.
We're not trying to hear that.
I have nothing for Queens.
You didn't say it was trash.
Okay,
wait. You said it was better.
Okay, let's stay here then. Matt, you're from Howard Beach.
Howard Beach.
Ugh.
That's close to East New York, though.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Did you see how he said that? He's like,
It is very close.
Howard Beach is interesting place.
Very interesting. Greg, what do you have to say?
LL, Run DMC,
50 Cent, Lil Kim.
I'm going
to say Nicki. I did say Nicki. Oh, yeah, that's right. Do you claim Nicki Minaj, Matt? Since we're here.
What?
She's from Queens, isn't she?
Oh, is she? I don't know.
Yeah, she's from Queens.
You didn't know she was from Queens?
No, I don't care. I don't care about her music or anything. Why would I care?
Matty P, where are you from?
Queens is losing right now.
Word, yeah. Matty P, where are you from?
He's from like around me, like around that area.
Oh, you from Howard Beach?
And Lewis?
I grew up there. I'm in Ozone Park now.
Wait, so where am I in all this?
Lost.
Yo, why? I don't know why you're talking crap about Queens.
Not
Queens
Lord.
is pretty lit. It's not like Brooklyn has a.
You live by Queens Center Mall. That's the lit part of Queens.
That's not even a lit part of Queens. I live in Left Rack.
I don't like Queens Center Mall at 3 in the afternoon.
Don't even, Matt. Why are you putting thumbs down? I live in the hood.
Are we really talking about Queens?
Queens Center Mall is the worst mall in the United States.
Nah, it's not that bad.
It's bad.
I like
Roosevelt.
I
love Queens
It's not that mall.
I like Roosevelt on Long
every
Island.
store you could think of.
Look, Astoria, Long Island City. Yeah, those are like
No, but
more nice
there's
areas.
There's too many like kids there.
What are you
Queens
talking
Center Mall.
about?
Wow.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it is. No, it is a lot of high school kids
Queens
there.
Center Mall.
That's why I
That is the
said
annoying part. I will say that.
That's all malls now as you get older, right?
But like that's their hangar. That's their hub.
Roosevelt's
Yeah, that's how it was.
That's their hub.
Nah, Roosevelt's full of Colombians, bro. Let's get that straight.
What's wrong with Colombians?
Yo,
say something right now.
I'm Ecuadorian, bro. Let's not talk about this. But Astoria and Long Island City.
Do you have a point to make about Queens?
Yo, Astoria and Long Island City is probably the most lit areas, and then the farther you go, maybe like Rockaway is not bad.
Somehow we got onto this Queens, Brooklyn.
But you don't gotta talk trash,
We haven't even introduced Jazmine.
Tangents
properly.
are the best.
Can we introduce our guest, please?
Let's don't talk about. I can't even speak. Just don't talk crap about Queens. Queens is
what?
not bad.
Or what?
Or else what?
We're gonna kick you out.
Are you even a Met fan?
Huh? No, I don't watch baseball.
Anyway, Jazz.
Welcome to the
our
podcast,
guest.
Jazmine.
Welcome to the podcast, Jazmine. And Jazmine, we know Brooklyn is the best. Jazmine, again, representing Brownsville, Brooklyn. She is the host of the Unapologetic Podcast, and she also does some work for the NBA in their analytics department. And Jazmine also does some sideline reporting for men's basketball for the Terry Sports Network, so you can catch her there. Jazmine,
season's over now.
Okay, don't forget my YouTube channel too.
I'm sorry about that.
I got a YouTube channel.
What's the YouTube channel?
I am Jazz August TV.
I am Jazz August TV.
Matt's gonna do all those graphics and
Jazmine has had interviews with tons of people. Who you interviewed? Kenny Smith, Grant Hill,
Draymond Green, Kevin Durant,
DJ Khaled. So I've seen you interview a bunch of people. So Jazz,
wait. How was that? How did that go?
So
I saw some of it. So go. Yeah, I'll let you.
No, it was actually cool. Khaled was really cool. He was really nice. I asked. It was when his album dropped. The one with the flowers. I cannot call the name of that album.
See, nobody remembers the name.
The one with Holy Key on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like
with Nas' album done, which we constantly joke about on this podcast.
Nas' album still ain't.
How do you feel about that?
It came out 2 years ago. That song.
Like, how you gonna have a song called
Nas
Nas'
album?
2 summers ago.
2
summers ago, yeah.
Nas' album done, yeah. I guess.
But it's not done.
I don't know.
Are you a big Nas fan?
No.
Since we had this whole Queens, Brooklyn, you said no?
No, I'm not a big Nas. I don't have anything against Nas, but I'm Hovey baby, Hovey's way. It's Jay-Z all
day. What are you, turned on?
I'm just saying this side is very Brooklyn and
why you hanging your head?
Jay-Z strong. Which is fine with me.
Jay-Z strong. Look at what's the name of the podcast?
Listen, but who's my? You know, everybody knows that's my favorite.
You have The World Is Yours hat on.
Yeah, but that's my favorite album. It doesn't matter. I can't wear a The World Is Yours hat because I'm a Jay-Z fan.
You want to talk about my hat?
To be fair, that's one of Dexter's favorite hats.
What does it say?
It is.
It's a running joke in our podcast.
I thought it said Esco. I was going to say, so you
guys
are really Nas fans up here.
We'll get that.
This is a. All right, fine. I won't do it.
We'll get to that at some point. Yeah, so you have the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And how's it been going as far as journalism for you? Obviously, you've been doing a lot as a reporter, some sideline reporting, got the YouTube channel. How's the journalism stuff going for you?
Wow, it's going good. It feels so different to be on this side. I gotta say that first. I feel like I'm so, comfortable in front of the camera when I'm on your side.
Right.
But now I'm like, now I can see how they feel a little like, ooh, the lights are hot. But no, it's really good. I mean, it's a struggle. I don't say struggle. It's a process. And you have to really want it. And I was just talking to somebody earlier who reached out to me on LinkedIn and was like, hey, I want to talk to you about, how you got into the industry. And I'm like, am I qualified to have this conversation yet? Because, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But I said, I may not be where I want to be, but I can talk to you about how I got to where I'm at. So talking to him today made me realize how much further I have to go, but it also made me realize how far I've come and how much you really have to love it and want it, because there's going to be times when it's not happening, or you think it won't happen, or, you're working for free, or, you put in those long hours. So it's
his head over there. He's like,
it's a process. That's all I can say. I can't. That's the best way. It's a process. I'm in the process. I'm loading.
But look, you're still able to help people, right? By just telling them how they can get to that place. And,
absolutely.
Brian and I have had people up here. We've talked to them about it. We had Michelle, you here last week. She was telling us about her journey to where she is and how she got there and the hard work she did. What do you like about journalism that kind of drew you to it? That you're like, this is kind of where I want to go right now? Obviously, you've done stuff. You started your own stuff independently.
Right.
Could you just talk a little bit about why that was important and what's drawn you to the industry?
Absolutely. Well, I just feel like I'm a storyteller by nature, right? I'm like the type of person who will, like, I could watch something and I could tell it back to you. My mom, like, I told my mom about an episode I watched, and she'll be dying, tears coming out her eyes, everything. And then she'll watch it, and she's like, it was way more funny when you told me, or like, it was way better when you told me. And she will always tell me that. And I just know that I'm a good storyteller, and I'm good at kind of getting people to give me what I want, like as far as asking them questions and getting the answers that I want from them. So that was just something that it just intrigued me. Like, I just like the way that I could do that. So I figured, why not do that on a bigger stage? And, and I love sports, and I love basketball since I was 10 years old. So I kind of melded the world to my passions.
Passions came together.
Right.
Yeah, it did.
All right. Could you one more time state your title that you work for with the NBA in particular?
Sure. I am the executive assistant to the senior vice president of basketball strategy and analytics.
Okay, so what's
that's
that
a mouthful.
Like? Yeah, it is. So what's that like? Just
it's
in particular,
awesome.
because we talked before. This was actually like 10, 11 episodes ago or so. Mm-hmm. We had a whole thing talking about analytics. I don't know if we would say we are analytics guys or not, but probably are to a point. And then we had Nick Medalinos up here who covers the NBA from ESPN Australia. And he hates analytics because he hates what it's done to basketball. Okay. He has a whole section of Twitter that he calls Vorp Twitter, and things like that, because people try to use analytics to kind of manipulate what's actually happening out there. So I guess what's your take on that, and just the overall experience of working with the NBA from that standpoint?
Yeah, I feel like, well, when I got the position, I wasn't initially drawn to analytics like naturally. It just kind of came to me, and I was like, okay, well, analytics is the way the game is going, and to stay ahead of the curve, you kind of have to jump on those things, early. So I figured, why not have an opportunity to work in the space that the game that I love is going. What I will say about analytics is that it kind of supports the eye test. We'll have, you'll have scouts and coaches who use analytics. I would say the best scouts and coaches use analytics along with the eye test. You can't just use analytics by itself and say, okay, I'm going to base a player off of his, usage rate times his effective field goal percentage, and that is going to tell me that that's a great player, versus using that along with what you see, and the same way that we used to judge players 40 years ago. You gotta meld the worlds together.
This is what I tell people all the time. But
that's
that's
the best way that analytics
it is, because you have to go by the eye test at the end of the day. We're so analytical now that, look at the way journalism is, right? And we've talked about this extensively on the podcast. Things that really are the most eye-catching in journalism now, unfortunately, are things that are, steered toward aggregation. So we're looking at things that are trying to get clicks as opposed to quality of stories. So it's like using the eye test is how you're going to identify somebody who's a very good basketball player, instead of just going by the numbers and seeing somebody averaging 20 points a game efficiently on a bad team. Then when you put them on a good team, they're just a six-man who's not playing that well. So you need both, but to a point.
Yeah, I think you need both, and I think you hit the nail on the head, and why the eye test is still important. As somebody who loves the game, I still have to look at a player or a team and be able to see some of those trends of what you're doing. Sometimes numbers can tell you things that you maybe didn't see, which is cool too. And sometimes I'm glad, because they help fill in gaps. But I think the people that just rely on it, or this person did this, or like you said, this person's usage rate is this, I'm just kind of like, if that's your only argument, you can't tell me what you've seen.
Yeah.
I can't rock with that. So for what you do for the NBA, you said you see, one thing you said is feel like the best scouts and the best coaches are the ones using the data, using both the eye test and that. How much are these scouts and coaches coming to you guys for the data that they need to support the things with the eye test, especially with something like the draft coming up, or I know even if it's used looking at college players and how people do in a combine, et cetera. How much are people coming to you guys for that?
It's funny you say that. The work that my team does, they really do stuff for the league. The teams have their own analytics departments.
Right.
So they'll handle, their needs. Obviously, we work, of course, together with teams in the league, but most of the work that the analysts in my group do are, stuff for the league. So not specifically player by player, but holistically, how can we advance the game? How can we innovate the game and use analytics to push the game forward?
Got you.
But I'll share a funny story about the eye test. So
always here for funny stories.
Well, it's not a funny story. It's just interesting to me.
It's an interesting story.
It's an interesting story. So I worked the draft combine last year in Chicago, and the guys had their little scrimmages and stuff like that, and we have this thing where the top players may not come to the combine.
Yep.
So like Lonzo wasn't there, Dennis Smith Jr. wasn't there, Josh Jackson wasn't there. Those guys weren't there. Jonathan Isaacs weren't there, but there were the other guys who were like fighting for that second round pick, maybe late first, that are there, literally wanting the coaches and the scouts to see them. So during the scrimmage, I'm sitting like courtside, and this player is like, he's wilding, and I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, yo, he's good. Like, what's his name? I had to get I'm like, what's his name? It was Kyle Kuzma. And I swear this is my favorite story, because I seen it. I just can't explain it. I was like, he got it. And I told him, I was like, yo, he got it. They like, oh, he's projected to go second round. I'm like,
he was.
He got it.
Huh.
So I had to walk him over to, my job during draft combine was basically transport the players. Like, we take them to the, anything stations they have to do and things they have to, testing they have to do
there, right.
during the combine. And I was transporting him to a station. And I was like, yo, you cold, like you got it. And he was just like, thank you. I was like, no, for real. Like,
I thought he was gonna be like, yeah, I know.
No. He was so humble. But I told him, I was like, you got it. Like, you nice. Like, I can't explain the only way. Cause like, you nice. Like, that's it. And when he started to blow up, I just kept thinking to myself, like, wow, I really seen it. Like, not to say that I found him or anything like that, but I know personally that I saw something in him that day that had nothing to do with the numbers. I didn't look at his stats. I'm just watching him. I'm watching him with the baby skyhook in a scrimmage game. I'm like, nah, he's different. Like from the game, I'm like, nah, he's different.
I don't know if you did this, but a lot, because Brian and I we did a draft show last year, and he was one of the players. We were just for the Nets, and we were looking at one of the players the Nets could take late first round,
and they took him and traded him.
Right now, and obviously it was in the D'Angelo Russell trade.
Yeah.
But a lot of what you said was correct. He was really projected to go early second round, and that's what I saw a lot was there. Did you see or hear around the draft any other scouts, coaches, even if you just overheard, don't say any names, but they were like, oh wow, like that kind of shared your sentiment?
No, not to say that they didn't. Well, obviously his stock went up after the combine, so clearly they did, because he went from being projected second to then they started to put him in that 27, 28 in the first round, and he ended up going like 27.
But
I didn't hear.
Did anybody, now that you saw that there, are you, when you look at him, he's a front runner up there for Rookie of the Year. I mean, it could be him, Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons might actually be third. Did you see him doing what he's done this year in the NBA? Because one thing to see it at the combine. Right. It was another thing to see in the summer league, where he killed again. Yeah. And then it's another thing for him to do what he's done this year. Did you see him having the success he had this year?
I couldn't predict it. Like I said, I just knew he was nice. I knew he was different. He just stood out. You know how some people just have it, and that's what I just like. He got it. Like, there's other players that were good and they played well, but it was just an it factor about him that I saw. Just like he got it. That's the only way to describe it. And for him to see him blossom, and I was just like rooting for him the whole time. Like, he don't know me from a can of paint, but I'm like at home, like, wow, I seen this kid come to combine, bright eyed, bushy tail, just a college kid, and now I worked with him at the All-Star in February, and I'm seeing him and like he got Gucci on, and he's like, so, and I'm just like, wow, I really see him glow up. Like,
that means
he's
an NBA player. That means he's an NBA player.
No, that's actually a good story in terms of like
I love that
actually seeing something and using the eye test.
I think when I did that Macy's story on Tuesday for Nets Daily, DeMauri Coward was wearing like a Dolce & Gabbana jumpsuit.
That's an NBA player outfit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a break. You know, sometimes how it can be hard just to get from point A to point B. Now, when I have to get anywhere and I don't want to deal with the hassle of public transportation, it ain't hard to tell how I get around. I always make sure to use the best car service app in the game. I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft offers rides in minutes. All you have to do is download the Lyft app, request a ride, and you will be on your way quickly. Lyft is all about happy riders and happy drivers. Take a ride with them and you'll see why 9 out of 10 rides end up with a 5-star rating. Lyft always has amazing offers for new customers, and I'm here to tell our listeners about a great offer today. Lyft is currently offering free ride credit to Ain't Hard to Tell listeners. If you are new to Lyft, then you are eligible, and getting your credit is easy. All you have to do is download the app and use the promo code AHTTPOD to unlock your free credit today. Ain't hard to tell who has the best car app service, so use the code today and ride out loud with Lyft. The best new sports web series is here. It's from Backpack Broadcasting, and it's called The Sports Walk. The Sports Walk is a series where diverse sports fans take a walk and share their views at the intersection of sports and society. The entire first season is now available on Backpack Broadcasting's YouTube channel and backpackbroadcasting.com. See what other sports fans have to say about a variety of issues in the world of sports. Watch all 13 episodes from season 1 and take The Sports Walk today. All right, welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 24. Our guest, Jazmine August, the host of the Unapologetic Podcast. We're going to get into that a little bit, too, about your podcast.
Absolutely.
Before I went to the break, I was talking about how the fact that three of us have something in common with the NFL this past season. All of us decided not to watch
the what?
The NFL. Yeah, Brian's like, what?
Not the what.
Now, Jazmine, you had told me this before, and you told me, like, you had boycotted the NFL, too. And we haven't really spoke with any of our guests, well, outside of one, really about this. But what was your reasons for boycotting the NFL? Is your boycott going to continue into next season? What motivated you behind it?
Or do you want to instead break down this JPP trade to the Bucs?
I don't know much about it. I just seen it flash on my phone, so I can't really talk too much at length.
We don't care about it either.
But
sorry, Naomi.
But yeah, I mean, it was a hard decision for me because, well, one, obviously basketball is my first love, and I never really watched any other sports. And then when I was in college, I was dating this guy, and he was like really into football, and it would like take up so much time of the day that I had to start watching it because it was like we would be like he would not pay me any mind for like 7 hours.
Damn.
No, on Sundays. I'm dead serious. And I used to be just sitting in the room like, okay.
So you just sitting to chill with him on Sundays. You've been like, yo.
We chose every day at this point. I mean, it was one of those situations,
trust me,
right?
I understand how it gets.
So,
7 hours a long time. Oh, never mind.
It's 7 hours a long time
to
be ignored.
In the room and you're literally not talking to her?
I mean, just keep going.
Okay.
You know what he told you by saying that?
What?
That he approves of that behavior.
Yeah,
that's something he would do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But,
go ahead, Jazmine.
I'm gonna go back through my emails.
So I started watching football.
Right.
And he kind of taught me the game, and I fell in love with it. So then now it became my thing. It became my ritual. Even once we were long broken up and everything, Sundays was still my day where I went to church, I came home, I cooked, and I literally sat on my couch and watched football all day.
You have a team.
I was going to ask that.
So it started off with his team. His team was the Eagles, so they became my team, right? And then it was when Michael Vick was their quarterback. And then I loved Michael Vick, so it was just like it went. And then when Vick left, I kind of stayed with the Eagles for a little while. And then I started to like Marshawn Lynch. So then
I'm Marshawn Lynch.
I went to
fan.
Seahawks.
Right, okay.
I went to Seahawks. So Seahawks is my team. It's still my team. Even once he's left, I'm still a Seahawks.
You're still rocking with the Seahawks.
So I'm rocking with the Seahawks.
Okay.
So back to this season, when everything happened with Cap, I was just like, we have to protect him. He's a gem. He is our jewel. You know, he's a legend. And as a black woman, that's what we do. We protect our men, and I had to protect him, and I felt like it was important for me, even as small as a you know, I'm just one minuscule person who the NFL will not miss watching their broadcast, but it was important for me to know that I was protecting him and I was supporting him. So that's really why I did it. And I also felt like, just to touch on Cap really quick.
Yeah, sure.
I also felt like, you know, what was really pissing me off about everything was that his message was getting lost.
Yes.
And it wasn't like I'm boycotting because Cap doesn't have a job. And that's what became a thing. Like, oh, until they let Kaepernick back in the league,
then I'm gonna end this boycott.
No, right. Cap wasn't boycotting just a boycott so he could get kicked out. He's boycotting because people are being murdered, and we're not talking about it, and we're still not talking about
it. Somebody just got killed in Sacramento. In the
2
backyard.
days ago, 3 days ago, and we're still not talking about it.
Yep.
And it's like, it's not about Kaepernick having or his right to boycott the national anthem. What the hell? We all know we have the right to not stand. That's not why he's doing it, to exercise his right. Then the conversation became about exercising your right to stand for the. No, that's not.
That
why
never
we
was.
Still
that
not
never.
Talking
That,
about,
because
it doesn't want to be talked about.
The people that wanted to detract from it didn't want it to talk about the actual issues. It never. What I hated, and I think Brian and I got to this very early in the season, and then we decided to stop talking about the NFL. I hated that people were calling it an anthem protest. It never was an anthem protest. It was an anti-police brutality protest. That's what it was, and that's why I echo sentiments that you've shared here. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I understand. I think that was the reasons why I stopped watching as well too, along with just the lack of respect I feel like the NFL has shown towards minority communities and also women. I thought the NFL did a horrible job when it came to Janae Rice or other women who've been victims of domestic abuse or violence. They haven't really stepped up for them in that regard. So that has also bothered me. So yeah, that's why I boycotted. So
Yeah. No,
so
yeah,
where are you now? I don't even know where Brian is in the boycott because we haven't spoken about this.
I'm just tired of the national anthem. Period. Do we really have to play that before games? I almost cursed.
I mean, I don't think we do, and I think a lot of people don't know.
Do you play it when you wake up in the morning before you do your thing at News 12 or Backpack Broadcast?
I mean, every day before I brush my teeth, I play it.
News 12.
No, I'm not being
You
serious.
take a knee in the shower when you play?
Nah, but where are you now with it? Like, what's the plans for? You've done it for a season, but what?
She was looking at me like you were asking me.
Oh, both. I guess both.
Oh,
I'm opening this up to anybody. I'm opening. We all were in the same boat.
Look at me.
Oh, no.
We all were in the same boat. So I guess this is for everybody. Like, where are we now with this? Like,
so I feel like I don't know where I'm at. I'm unclear because, like I said, the message got lost. Of course, I still want to support. It's like it was two things to me. I completely agree with his feelings and what he's fighting for. So I was supporting him in that, and also supporting him as a black man that was being ostracized for speaking on what's really happening in the world, right? So it was two things.
Job to do it too.
And giving up his job, he sacrificed so much for it. It kind of feels like, and I mean, and the thing is, what I love about it and how like life works. I know I'm going on a tangent, but how life works is like, and immediately I'm pretty sure his family and his friends saying, you losing all this money. This is your passion, your love. You love football. How could you sacrifice this? And then it's like, would he have been known, etched in history, but by just being a football player? No. But he's forever etched in history for what he did, and he's a legend. So it's just like sometimes you have to sacrifice for the bigger picture, and also changing people's lives and motivating people to speak out, and just what he did. Like, how can you transcend the whole nation like that? Well, we're doing one thing,
but he did. Yeah.
So that's that. But I was gonna say that as far as if I'm gonna watch the NFL season, it's so many things. I don't necessarily agree with the game anymore. It's starting to make me feel uncomfortable with the players.
Brian, on the same page.
I'm actually
everything about it is just kind of, I'm kind of losing my
interest.
Yeah,
Brian, that's always been Brian's point too.
My thing with the NFL, it's crazy because, excuse me, I love boxing, obviously, and I cover boxing a lot. But my thing with the NFL is that it's even before Kaepernick took a knee and all of that was happening, was that the quality of the actual game was trash. It had gone down tremendously. We started seeing more and more players leaving early because they thought that they were getting severely injured with CTE and things like that. And before anything else, I feel like, sports media, you should care about the athlete's health. You know what I mean?
Should. I don't know if we always do.
I don't know if we always do because certain people have certain agendas and so forth. But my thing was that the game was actually getting bad. And then the whole injustice thing happened. And then you kind of take a look around and you see that the owners, what they believe in, what they stand for, you don't rock with that. I don't. Like, you think me and Jerry Jones will have like a intellectual conversation if we're locked in the same room? No.
I don't want to see that.
You know what I mean? For example, or who was the dude from the Houston Texans?
I can't remember his name.
Forgetting the owner, the Texans owner.
Anybody who says my players or my workers will stand for national anthem, I'm not gonna rock with you. And that has nothing to do with the actual national anthem. Just don't tell me what I can and can't do during the national anthem.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, if I need to go piss during the national anthem, I'm gonna take a piss. Like, it's fine. If I want to sit down and do my work during the national anthem, which I have at arenas, I've done this during Nets games, I've done this during Liberty games, nobody gonna tell me nothing.
Right. Well, people will come and tell you something because it happened to me before. I was actually texting
it's
my
not
mom.
That important. It's not that important.
Story.
All the national anthem is killing time.
I was texting my mom.
It's wasting time.
This was during Kaepernick, when Kaepernick was going through his protest. I was texting my mom. I'm not going to say where this was and where I was working, but somebody who I do some work for came over to me and said they and I don't think it would have happened to me if I wasn't black. I'm going to come out and say that, but they came to me and was like, oh, maybe you should pay more respect during the national anthem. I was actually texting my mom about a situation that involved something with my family, and I don't care what's being played, okay? At any
you could
time.
be playing shook ones.
And I have to say this too,
Sure.
because what you're saying, them telling you to pay respect, it's just so...
Well, excuse me, they told me to be mindful of paying those. I want to make sure I say the words right. Be mindful of paying respect during the anthem.
Whatever.
Right.
This whole
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This whole respect thing, it's just like it blows my mind how these owners or people who are part of the NFL or people that were not a part of the NFL, just media that was talking on Fox News or whatever, saying like, oh, how could these people disrespect the flag? How about people being murdered and you're not outraged by that?
Amen.
Yeah,
You're outraged by somebody not standing for a song, but you're not. That doesn't disrespect your country. These are American. These are American citizens. But that's because we're not seen as American citizens. We're seen somehow less than or separate from the American community. So therefore, you're not mad about, this is so anti-American. American people are being killed. They may not be the same color as you, but they are American. So how is that? I don't get that.
How does that not upset you more than
How does that not upset you?
Right.
Like that is just that. It's like I don't know. It's mind blowing to me.
No,
and I'm not hearing anybody say this.
No,
I'm not hearing anybody saying this explicitly. Like this is the problem. This is what it is.
Because nobody. I feel like as we were saying before, I don't think people want to talk about.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Issues. Speaking of things that upset people.
Yeah, because that upsets me.
I know. I'm gonna try to move on because it does get me a little hot.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to save it for the third?
Oh no! We're starting here. We'll continue over.
I'm nervous.
Sometimes things upset people, and sometimes people situations and they end up storming out. Such was the case for Breakfast Club host DJ Envy.
I love that setup.
Okay, Breakfast Club host DJ Envy was joined by Desus and Mero. Who Brian and I we're Desus and Mero fans. We like Desus and Mero show.
I will say I've never seen that show.
What?
I know. I know. I've never seen that show.
Jazmine,
how much time do we have?
No, I have to watch it.
First of all, I think this show is great. They do a great job on pop culture and stuff, and they talk about anything. They talk about anything, things going on and everything and anywhere, which is what I think makes their show great. And they're New Yorkers, so they have that New York flavor, New York vibe. They represent the Bronx, but they have that that vibe to it too.
No, let me stop.
You said but. You said they represent the Bronx. But.
No. I said but. I said but in terms of because Jazmine and I are very proud in our Brooklyn love. So I know Jazmine feels me on that.
I gotta stop you right there. Don't forget your thought. But I had to say this.
Go ahead. Yeah, I forgot.
It's so funny because when you're from New York, right? When you're from Brooklyn, you make sure that you specify that you're from Brooklyn and you're not from New York. Right, so people will be like, when I was in Virginia, I went to college in Virginia, and people be like, "Oh, you where you from? Brooklyn." Or be like, "Oh, you from New York? I'm from Brooklyn." Like, you gotta make sure you make it. It's a clear distinction. Like, it's a difference. Like, why
do you think that occurs? And is that Brian? Is that the case for you? Are you saying like, "Yo, I'm from Queens" when you're out of state?
Not really. I just say I'm from New York.
Interesting.
City.
I never.
But
say I'm from
it also
New York.
depends where I'm at. Like.
I could be in South Africa and somebody asks me where I'm from Brooklyn.
All day.
I never say I'm from New York. I swear it just never came out of my mouth.
I think that's a Brooklyn thing too.
I say New York.
I've never said New York.
Y'all can't feel us on this.
Right. It's just a Brooklyn thing.
Okay,
go ahead. I'm sorry, I had a Brooklyn moment.
Listen, any love.
That means Desus and Mero be coming for y'all then.
Nah, I mean,
you're trying to diss the Bronx.
I didn't say we didn't diss the Bronx.
The Bronx, but
we didn't diss the Bronx. Anyway,
what's so funny?
We all saw the situation with Desus and Mero going up to the Breakfast Club. DJ Envy felt like they disrespected his wife in a previous segment on their show, and then DJ Envy walked out. I know what my thoughts were to that situation. I haven't really talked to Brian in depth about this, but Jazmine, you saw this as well too.
Yes.
What did you think about the Envy Desus Mero situation? Did Envy overreact? What do you think about the whole situation?
Well, let me say this. I always like to start anything. I said this is my personal opinion, right? And it doesn't mean make it fact or it doesn't make it Bible or truth or whatever. But in my personal opinion, not knowing Envy, not knowing his wife or the situation, just from a fan perspective or somebody who, watches Breakfast Club for years, like I said, I never seen Desus and what's the other one? Desus Mero name. So I mean,
they coming for you now.
No, no shade. I just never seen that show, so I can't speak on them. I can't speak on them, but I will say, and I didn't also the little clips of what they said.
Right.
But I felt like one thing: if you have a personal life and you want to choose, if you don't want anybody to have opinion on anything that happens behind closed doors, you have to keep it behind closed doors because then no one can speak on it because they won't know about it.
Yep.
Now, when you allow anything to be in front of the public, then people are entitled to their opinion and you entitled to not give a shit. And that's just as simple as that. So them saying what they said, and then it was kind of peculiar to me because for Envy to be in the position that he is and to have the occupation that he has, it was even more kind of outrageous to me that he would be so offended when I'm pretty sure if he can roll back the tape on the last 15 years of his career that he's probably said something or laughed at something or joked with something at somebody's personal life and they didn't particularly like, and it doesn't make it wrong. That's your job. So if anybody should have understood what Desus and Mero.
They coming for you, man.
No shit. It's a funny name. Desus and Mero was doing.
It's a funny name.
Oh my God, no, I didn't mean like that. But I'm just saying. It should have been Envy, right? Shouldn't he have been the one that could understand
First of all, Envy had a white suit, so he had to have known that he was going to get clowned that day. All right? Tired of this.
White suit, and he was not in Miami. He was
not Miami.
White suit, and he had a thick goatee on.
Which Brian believes is suspect. Brian said he looked suspect.
No, I'm like, yo, because that's not a thing anymore, really. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Like the solo stash, it should be gone.
Yeah, like
or the soul patch.
I was gonna say that.
I hate when men have nothing in just the soul patch.
I used to rock. I know
last time I seen somebody with that.
I never had a soul patch only, but I used.
No, I'm saying yo.
Dexter, nah.
Can anybody here?
First of all, you're black. Y'all don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do
that. I seen a black man with a soul patch.
Where?
Stop it. And I swear to God, we can look it up on Google Images.
While you look that up, I'm gonna find that. While you look that up, so what's it called?
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, you got like a kind of goatee thing, but there's like some stuff going on here too. So like you're good. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, you don't like now. You don't shave and just leave the goatee on. Like that stopped being a thing. I feel like 2-3 years ago. I used to do that, and then I stopped because I think the way.
So wait, what are you talking about? What
facial hair?
No, so you're saying you have to? I'm talking about what do you say? He took all of this off.
No. It's just because the way it's grown. I'm like, yo, he has to have.
Oh, you need the
shave.
size.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think it's because his is a thicker version of it.
I'm spending too much time on that.
Yeah, you're spending too much time on that.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
All I'm saying is that it looked weird, and he had the white suit, and to be partially serious, morals and stuff come into play. He cheated on her first with Erica. What's her name?
Well, it's rumored that it's Erica Meta.
Rumored. Well, I mean, it seems like he did.
I mean, here's what we know. We know that he cheated. Here's where I agree with Jazmine. If you cover pop culture every day, you come on the radio every day, you talk about people.
Oh
every day,
right? Like DJ Academics, right? Where he can't handle it.
There's but his stance is let's respect his stance. He said, "Don't come at my wife and my kids," right? Like that's off limits.
Right.
Here's where I find it a little bit problematic. I find it hard, as Jazmine said, if you go back through his 15-year career and you listen to all his tapes, that you will never hear him commenting or criticizing or joking on somebody's wife and or kids. I'm sure he has, because that's what they do on the Breakfast Club. Like, so to Jazmine's point, if anybody should have understood it and the joke and know what the game is, he's got to know what the game is.
Yeah.
You can't be playing in the game and talking about like, oh no, but now you can't do that.
But I will say that when you are insecure about something or you feel uncomfortable about something and somebody says something about it, then those emotions come up. When you confident and comfortable in your marriage and your relationship and what you've done and not done and what your wife is and isn't, then what Desus and Mero have to say does not matter.
Yeah.
Who gives a damn if who is Desus? I mean, not to say like that.
No,
hold on.
No, I understand the don't try to get messy. I know what you're saying.
I'm saying
I'm telling him. I know you're not.
Who is Desus and Mero to Envy? I'm saying in his
his view. I get what you're saying.
They may be important
media
personalities.
It shouldn't matter.
But they shouldn't matter to his wife and his kids.
Right. I get completely saying. I know you were trying to make it messy.
No, I wasn't saying who's them like they're nobodies. No, I'm not saying that. Let's be clear.
I knew what you were saying.
Yeah,
no. I'm not trying to do anything.
He's the Charlemagne of the show, right?
What are you talking about?
I already see it. You the
No. We're like the same height, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. It's like 50 Shades Lighter.
I mean, I was going to say something. Never mind.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Nipsey Hussle's new album, which Jazmine loves. And
I do.
Brian loves. I think they love it a little too much, but that's just also my opinion. And we're going to talk about what's everybody's pet peeve. What do people do that really piss you off. I was going to go someplace else with that, but I'm not going to go there. We'll talk about that more when we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Sports Guru is the place where fans talk about sports via video. All videos are 60 seconds or shorter. Sports Guru makes the video look more professional and fun by adding automated on-screen graphics. You can follow your favorite sports by team, trending, new, or by people you follow, and more. Type in the title of your video and it will auto-magically go into your on-screen graphics. It's just that simple. Tag your teams and publish sports. Let's talk sports.
It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via TeePublic. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting TeePublic online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/lic/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today. All right, welcome back to Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter Henry, Brian Fonseca, and our guest, Jazmine August, the host of the Unapologetic Podcast, representing Brownsville, hating on the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island.
Oh, not hating on the No.
No, I'm just
y'all
just
Queens
joking.
Gonna take that?
I know he's trying to come over here. We don't want him.
He's
He's trying to
right now.
Yeah.
I lived right by you where you used to live. I used to live in Ridgewood. You're Queens, my guy. You're trying to be hood, but you're
He's
really
a fraud.
not.
He's a
What do you mean
fraud.
trying to be hood?
Bronx is known.
There are no hoods
Bronx,
in
Brooklyn.
Queens?
Brooklyn is known as.
Don't you live by Queensbridge?
No, Queensbridge is nowhere near Left
You
Wreck
guys
City.
don't even know the geography of Queens. I'm done with all of y'all.
You know, I do.
Queens
He
sucks.
doesn't.
You guys
Have
don't
you
know.
ever seen?
guys-
Have you ever
No,
seen
see,
the
the thing
map
is
of
that-
50th Road being next to 50th Street,
Yeah,
being next to 50th Ave?
I actually have seen that. Jazmine, before we get into a couple other topics, just want to talk to you about your podcast, Unapologetic Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Say something, man.
Talk to
Go
us
ahead.
about
Just interrupt.
how you've been doing it, what you've been doing, how long it's been going, what's been going on with that.
Yeah, so I had it in my spirit to do a podcast for a long time. Like I just felt like I needed an outlet, right? And I had like all these thoughts, and like I would find myself like somebody needs to hear this. I would be like praying, right, talking to God, and I'm like, God, this is cool. I'm talking to you about this, but somebody else needs to hear this. And it doesn't have to be necessarily anything super serious, but just things that I kind of learned along the way. So I said I wanted to make a podcast. It was something that was on my to-do list for like at least a year. And before I got any equipment or anything, I would just do voice notes and record about 10 to 12 minutes and send them to all my closest friends and family members. And that was the podcast at first. So I did 5 episodes like that. I started off the last week in November of 2017.
Oh, so this is recent too for you.
Yeah, this is very recent. So I did that once a week, and then my family and friends were like, "Oh, Jazz, that was good. Da, 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 I like this, like that." I'm like, "Okay, like real podcast coming soon." I still do a Christmas list for my mom, so I wrote out a list of things I wanted for Christmas, and my mom bought me a mic. Also, I wanted the setup for my podcast, so I got that, and then starting in the first week in January, I launched the official podcast, which is the Unapologetic Podcast that you can find on SoundCloud at the Unapologetic. Now, what kind of pissed me off was the Unapologetic. And I'm sorry.
Oh, people piss us off with other podcasts.
Yeah, the Unapologetic Podcast, like it came to me like that's the name. Like I always felt like that was something that I identified with, just being unapologetically Jazz, right? That was like to me, that's my brand, just being me. So I felt like the podcast needed to be named the Unapologetic Podcast. So I Googled it. I didn't see any other Unapologetic Podcasts. I'm like, okay, cool, this is the name. Boom. I make it the Unapologetic Podcast, and then I'm looking on SoundCloud, and it's like 7 Unapologetic Podcasts. But like it's just like different ways they spell it, or like they don't put they just put Unapologetic or whatever. So it's my picture as the logo. So if you see like 7 other Unapologetic Podcasts, just see the one that look like me.
There you go. And then you know to find it. You talk about everything sports, everything on there.
So right now, like I said, it's still in its infancy. So it will grow into that. I talk a little bit about sports, obviously, because I work for the league. I don't want to speak too much on the NBA, but I do try to talk about other sports and things that, you know, I can speak to. But I really focus on life and love, to be honest. That's really what the podcast focused
life
on.
Life and love.
Life and love.
Okay, a little bit of sports. We need more.
A little bit of sports.
We need a little more. We need a little more than a life. Now, one of the things that you love and Brian loves, album. We talk hip hop on this podcast sometimes too. Mm-hmm. And so Brian, a couple weeks, told me about the Nipsey Hussle's new album.
Neighborhood.
He recommended that I listen to it.
Yeah.
And then I saw you, and you were like, I should listen to it too. Now, Brian was really excited about this album.
More than I thought I would be.
And then, I will say this because I don't think I've said this on the podcast yet. I did listen to it, and I really liked it.
Oh, good. Okay. I didn't know what
I really liked it. And Brian was trying to tell me that, like, yo, it was really good. You said it was good, and I really actually enjoyed it. Like, it's not like, you know, I'm not going to be this new Nipsey Hussle fan like that, but I thought it was a really enjoyable album. He really knows how to make songs. It's really good to work out, which is what Brian has said to me.
I keep telling you, it's a great album to work out to.
It is.
Everybody,
and it can motivate you. You called it motivation music for you.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And so what do you like about the album? Brian's kind of said what he's liked about the album.
Not really.
Before.
Have I?
I think you did the first time when we talked about it. You said, you know, you liked it. You thought it was solid. The song making. I don't know if you said anything else. That was the time you recommended it to me.
I said it's a top 2 album this year so far, and you got annoyed at that.
Yeah, I got annoyed at you. I was like, there's only going to listen to like 2 albums.
After Prime 2, it might still be 2. I don't know.
Okay. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna let Jazmine
Whose album
rock
is that? That's coming out.
Prime. Well, that came out last week. Prime 2 was Royce the 5'9" and DJ Premier. They put together the album. That came out last week.
I didn't listen.
You don't listen to that?
No, I don't know. I know who Royce the 5'9" is.
Yeah.
But I've never listened to any of his music.
Okay. Brian is very disappointed.
I was looking at you to see if you got disappointed.
Big fan of his?
I mean, we both are.
Okay.
Well, you know
like we're not like. I mean, I don't know. What kind of hip hop do you typically listen to?
We know that you like Nipsey Hussle. So what else do you like to listen to?
So yeah, I'm definitely gonna give you my take on Nipsey's album. But before I do that, I will say my music kind of. I'm an R&B head, so I listen to a lot of R&B. When it comes to hip hop, though,
can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah.
Do people ever say that you look like a specific R&B artist?
Don't look like Tweet.
Tweet, yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't look like Tweet. People say I look like everybody. I look like Keke Palmer. I look like Tweet.
You don't.
Who's Tweet?
Oh God.
What?
You don't listen to R&B.
He's not
R&B. He doesn't know.
Listen. I'll say this to people every time. No.
Do I need to know who
You think I look like Tweet until you see a picture of Tweet, and not the shade
Is
Tweet.
It literally
I think
spelled
Tweet pretty
Tweet,
and she's beautiful. But I'm saying it's Tweet. But people think I look like Tweet. But until you see a picture of Tweet.
And a picture of John Bolton comes up.
Go to images.
You do not look like John Bolton.
Jazmine, I'll be completely honest. It wasn't until you said R&B now that it really popped in my head. Because I never thought about it before.
Y'all don't really look alike.
We don't really look alike, right? Nah. People think we have the same complexion. We kind of have the same facial structure.
You got the same facial structure.
But when you look at her and you look at me, we don't look alike.
I haven't looked at a picture.
What's her name? Tweet.
I don't know. Because she can sing and birds sing. I guess that was kind of the thing. She can sing, though.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay, but back to hip-hop.
Sorry about that. Yes, you're R&B head.
So I'm R&B head, but as far as hip-hop goes, I really only listen to Jay-Z. And I mean, it's probably bad. I should.
But what's so funny?
Not bad, but I should diversify.
Wait, hold on.
Diversify my palette.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I was looking at
my
Brian.
face?
I just felt like that was gonna hurt Brian's soul when you said that.
You be acting like I don't like Jay-Z. I just don't like him as much as the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
But I listen to Jay-Z. I listen to Drake. I listen to Drake, Jay-Z, and Nipsey, which is probably actually
those are your 3.
Those are the 3 most common rap artists that I would say I listen to. I listen to Future. I listen to Ross. What's so funny?
We're looking at each other for reactions.
Because I know he knows that I don't like Future.
You don't like Future?
I'm not a Future guy.
Nobody here does except Lewis in the club.
Yeah, I listen to Future.
No, we're not judging you though.
Except Lewis when he goes to the clubs.
No, I mean, there's a time and a place. Trap music is great.
There's a time and a
to the
place.
club. However,
like I only like March Madness in March. Once April 1st comes,
I like March Madness. There's some Future songs I like, but overall I'm not like gonna listen to Future.
You act like I listen to Future or even Migos. Do
you care about lyrics at all?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I love Jay-Z. He's the most lyrical.
All right, so
I don't.
Why do you like Future?
I like Future's music because it's a feel-good kind of.
It's a vibe?
It's a vibe.
All right.
I get that.
I can get vibes from other artists.
And then I forgot to mention Cole. Of course, I like J. Cole.
Hey,
okay. I listen to J. Cole, Jay-Z, Drake, and Nip.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been rocking with Nip. I like she calls him Nip. I like that.
No, not that I know him, but you know
So
what?
I wouldn't call him Nip because I'm not calling another man just, almost nipple.
Not almost nipples.
It's actually shorter than nipples. Not even close to nipples.
Nip is a. All right,
Nipsey is actually closer to nipples than
cheese
nips.
Not cheese.
What do you
Cheese
listen to,
nips.
Matt? Tell me about Lords of the
Got
Underground.
Dipsy Doodle. I love Lords of the
Why
Underground.
is that funny?
What?
I don't even know why I'm laughing right now.
I said cheese nips. And
Yeah, this is the way he said it was
you
funny.
got Dipsy Doodle or cheese nips. You got either or. Last podcast we called him
We
Dipsy
call him
Doodle.
Nipsey Doodle.
Nipsey
Don't
Doodle.
play with Nipsey like that.
See, you can't be coming in Nipsey.
That's why I'm
Jazmine
saying
will come
shut.
for you.
Victory,
All right, so
Victory Lap was a
you
fire
someone,
album.
Come for
you
me on Twitter.
expanded your hip hop palette, if you want to say your.
I need to expand it more though, because like you said, like Royce the Five. I used to listen to Currency Spitter. Like I used to try to like.
Okay.
I listened to Wiz like back, like Cushion Orange Juice mixtape, and I was a Wayne fan. Like No Ceilings. Like I like rap. Like, but I don't. It's so many artists now that I feel like it's just out of control. I can't keep up.
That kind of happens, I think.
And I just stick to what I know.
I think it happens. I think that happens as you get older.
But I'm pretty sure
yeah.
there's like I will listen to the album and I probably would like some of the songs.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we're only allowed to play up to 10 seconds of it, right? No, we're not gonna do that now. I'm just saying.
I'll listen to it though, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
it depends.
listen to it.
It depends because, like, to some degree, I feel like Dex, you're the same way. Like, we kind of stick to what we know. There's very rare that we get put onto certain things. My brother's very much like that now. There's a lot of newer artists he doesn't like. Although he did yesterday tell me, "Yo, did you know Common dropped this new project?"
I told
and
you about
that's
that
the
too.
one that you
And
told
I
me
like
about.
that too.
And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, it's really good.
Common is lyrical.
Common with it's called August Greens with Common. Robert Glasper, who's a jazz producer and pianist that I love, and Kareem Riggins. I said pianist. Like how childish are these guys? Like how childish are you? Like who laughed at that? Really?
She did.
No, she laughed because y'all are ridiculous. That's why she's laughing.
He's a good pianist.
Like yeah.
Bro, I know jazz. Come on, we talk about jazz all the
Like
time.
come on, really?
I love jazz.
Anyway,
I did not
so
think
if
you were
like
gonna.
jazz,
I did not think Jazz was
think I
gonna
like
help
jazz. I think you'll like this album.
Hold on.
And I think that his brother who's older than even I am, like the album. It's a very grown album. I would say that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good in that stretch.
But back to the point was basically like you like a certain artist, so you kind of stay. That's like you kind of stay in that lane. Yeah. And I think that's why the Nipsey Hussle thing kind of caught you off guard, because you know what my lane is. It's usually bars. It's before anything else I've talked about it. Royce 5'9", Freddie Gibbs, Vince Staples, whatever. Then the Nipsey Hussle album drops, and he's not somebody who's like ultra lyrical or whatever the case may be.
But he can make songs.
But the
he can make
music
good songs.
I think I think that what makes Nip like stand out and what makes him so like different and what makes him so dope is that he kind of carved out this like niche, and he only and this is I feel like it's because he a Leo. I'm really into astrology. I know he's a Leo and I'm a Leo. So no, I understood him from like a Leo perspective. Like we only care about the people who care about us. Like we only like so he like who gonna bang with it, gonna bang with it. I'm not making music for the masses because everybody's not gonna like my music, and I'm not gonna try to make myself for everybody to like. I'm a be me, and who gonna bang with it, gonna bang with it. Who don't, and I'm good with it. Yeah. And that's what I liked about Nipsey.
I think you definitely get the vibe of that on Victory Lap.
That's what I like
we
about
have
Nipsey
the same
because
approach
it's like
to this podcast.
Yeah, it's like you can't try
but
to
that's
make
like anything in life,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, you can't try. Well, not everybody lives their life that way. Some people really do try to live their life in a way where they can kind of please everybody and want to be open to everybody. And it's like, listen, either you, I wish I could be more candid what I really want to say, but either you with me or you don't F with me.
No, we know.
And it's really that simple. Like it's really that simple. So I feel like Nipsey, that was his approach. That's been his approach in his career, and that's what I connected with and what made me like him. And then to listen to his music, it was like motivational, like him talking about just wanting to like be on and like just being hungry, and then like Victory Lap, like Crenshaw was good. Listen to Crenshaw. I like that. I wasn't with Nipsey from his very first mixtape or anything like that. I started listening to Nipsey around 2014, 13 is when I started listening to him.
That's when you got to him too, right, Brian?
Not really.
Oh, not really. Okay,
Before
so
that?
you were a little later.
No, the first thing from Nipsey Hussle, the first thing I heard was Killers. That was the Drake feature, and then that was pretty much. I mean, there was like sporadic things here and there. I was never consider myself a Nipsey fan.
Yeah, and I wasn't
I
like
just checked for
bumping his music like OD, but it was just like.
But
I
just
check
checked.
in.
I just checked for the album because I respected what he was doing, just as a you know, as a person.
Independent artist.
Yes,
Yeah.
as an independent artist, what he was doing on the mixtape circuit. Not like I fell in love with the mixtapes or whatever. Not to get into this Nipsey Hussle deep dive, but you know, there were just things where like I was just curious to check out the album.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that just happens where I respect somebody, I check out their work once, and then I just like it. I can't think of another recent example of that. But he's kind of like in that Rick Ross lane where they're not going to be super lyrical like Royce the 5'9" or whoever, but they know how to make very good songs. They have a good ear for picking beats. They use features in the right areas. You know what I mean? 50 Cent is another one like that too.
I think Jazmine was right about the vibe that he has where he doesn't really care if you bang with him or not. It's about he's going to make the music he wants to make. And I think when I listen to an artist and I can hear that, even in their music and their songs, I have a lot of respect for that too in their song making, that he's not trying to cater to the radio. Like he's just making the music that he feels, and I think a true artist does that, so that's good. Speaking of being true, go ahead.
Do you like Migos?
I do listen to Migos. I haven't listened to Culture.
You disappointed Matt. Did you get through all of Culture? Did you get through all of Culture?
I haven't even listened to Culture.
Oh, you haven't listened to it? Okay.
No, let me tell you, I've really been on this victory lap. Like, and it's crazy because, like, from when it came out All-Star Weekend, from February 16th until I just started listening to other music. I mean, I was listening.
Damn, she was in the zone.
I was listening to Victory Lap, like, and I still listen to, but I mean, I was only listening to Victory Lap for like 3.5 weeks. Like every day, morning, noon, night, and it's just like it would just have me. Like I said, I feel like I'm on my marathon. Like so, when he's talking about like the marathon and like I'm not at the victory lap level yet, but he's talking about like even he's kind of saying like this is the victory lap on this first round, but now we about to go to the next thing with the investing, and he's smart. Like somebody put him on to game. Like
he's talking about doing things at a higher level for his
people. And companies and
it's the West Coast 444.
Let's not get that. Let's not go that far.
Let's
not go that far.
Oh, wait, you saying 444? Jay-Z's 444?
I said the West Coast version of it.
You mean in terms of the uplifting?
Yeah,
or you mean in terms
like, yo,
I thought you meant as in like how good it is. Like it's not 444.
Yo, Matt, wrap this up.
It's not 444.
Peeves.
It's not 444. Oh yeah, before we go, we talking about people being authentic, right? I had this thought this week about
my pet peeve right now is Dex.
And I don't care. And you know, if you don't bang with me, then you don't bang with me. That's fine. But I always think about things that just sometimes people do that annoy you. You know, sometimes it's stuff people just do. We see stuff in society. Lewis is yawning right now. I don't know why. That's like a pet peeve of mine. No, I'm joking. It's not. But I'm going to ask Jazmine. What are some things that people do that's like a big pet peeve? Like what really grinds your gears?
Woo, what grinds my gears? A lot of things grind my gears. I'm easily irritated.
You can say Brian if you want to. I know you want to.
Brian doesn't grind my gears. I feel like
that's a compliment.
What kind of I hate phony people. Or phony, just anything that's like phony. Like it upsets me. It's like an insult to me. Like you have the audacity to come to me with this, like get on my face, right? That's how I feel. I hate phoniness, and it's so weird because when you're working in an industry like the entertainment industry, it's gonna be a lot of that, you have to be able, to be able to maneuver and kind of play the game.
Has anybody ever approached you where you knew they were being fake?
Yeah,
and like, especially in maybe a professional setting.
Of course.
And how did you deal with that? Like, how did that happen? Because you say you don't like it, so in the moment you're like, ugh. This person.
It's tough. It's tough for me, type person I am.
Jazmine's ready to scrap. Like,
no, not ready to scrap. But like I just
watch out.
I don't know how to be anything other than jazz, right? So it's tough for me when I'm combative with things like that because I'm like realness is not gonna make this a good situation.
Sometimes keeping it real can go wrong.
Be productive, right? It's not gonna be productive in the situation. And I love that. Shout out to my favorite comedian, Dave Chappelle.
Mine too.
But yeah, when keeping it real goes wrong. So nobody ever wants to be in that keeping it real goes wrong.
Trust me, you don't.
She's like,
you can lose a lot of money that way.
The girl like, I was just keeping it real, and it's like she ended up in jail. She ended up like, I love that skit. So I feel like no, sometimes you have to just play the game. And
see, wait. You see what Brian's doing?
And it's tough.
Sometimes playing the game makes you go like, I don't want
to play ball.
But it's
sometimes.
Chess and it's not checkers. Like everybody says.
I like that. That's nice.
You know, and a chess move is you don't know what's in my hand. So sometimes
I'm good at chess. Like I'm talking about like
no, but that's
like,
that's a good
like
analogy
fake
about
chess
how
and
you
real
got to
chess.
look at it because that's a good
game,
analogy.
right?
But Brian, you don't want to play that game.
No, sometimes
I never want to play
look,
that.
sometimes you gotta let people know that it can go there and you can get popped in the face.
Don't mess with
Like
Brian.
sometimes
Absolutely.
you just gotta let people know.
He shadow
Absolutely.
boxes.
But there's
Shoot.
a time and a place for that too.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes, like my mom told me,
Sometimes
you gotta
it's not-
put somebody to the side. Nobody else gotta know that you gonna pop on them. You might have to just whisper in somebody's ear, like, "Don't play with me."
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna let you know
And
right
that's
now.
it.
I'm not
And
for
walk
play.
away.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you. No, I'm
sometimes
not
the
for
media
play.
room's not the place, and you gotta wait till we step outside.
Ooh, we'll get to, we'll talk about that after. I've wanted to check a couple people in the media room. Brian, what's your pet peeve?
That.
What, people in the media room?
Nah, I'm kidding.
I know what his pet peeve is. Bad MSG food.
Nah.
MSG food is
Nah.
Food in the
We
sweets
we
are really
we gonna
good.
leave.
No.
We're gonna leave MSG
Wait,
alone.
the sweet too good.
Food
The
is
media
so
food.
good.
What you think about the media
Oh,
food?
We
I've
talked
never had
enough
that. I've
last
never been in the
episode.
media room.
We're gonna leave it alone. We're gonna leave it
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna leave it alone.
Pass that.
You know, wink.
What's your
What's it called?
Oh, what's my pet peeve? Are we leaving Brian? Is Brian getting
I
off
thought
the
he
hook?
said it was the same as mine.
Not. I mean, like.
Oh, I thought you were saying like people that's being phony wasn't getting happy. You were saying the media room.
Yeah.
I make a lot of jokes on here, but they're like half jokes.
Okay.
So that's like half of mine.
Half joke,
My
half truth.
actual one would probably be, and I kind of talked about this earlier, but like what social media has done to journalism to some degree, right?
Speak
So
on it. I
we've
wanna
talked
hear
about this. We've talked about this, but Jazmine hasn't been here for this, so
No, tell me.
so we can talk. But so basically, like.
Jazmine, he's being fake right now.
Oh, see, I know. Like,
Nah, I'm
I
joking.
didn't-
I'm
I
joking.
wasn't
I'm
able to
joking.
detect
Come on,
it.
Brian.
I was
said
trying to
already.
start trouble.
Nah, you better be careful because she don't know me like that. She might think you serious.
Oh, you might want to be careful. You don't know her like that.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
What's it called?
No, but go ahead.
Interesting.
No,
Social media.
but it's just what it's done to journalism because, and I talked about this earlier. Just everything is about just popularity. Everything's a popularity contest now,
Numbers.
and we care less and less about quality. And because of that, we care more about not paying people to do labor. I'm just kind of going off on a rant here, but like now. It's easier instead of paying somebody for the quality of their work and giving them X amount of dollars weekly or X amount of dollars per story. You have to generate a certain amount of clicks with your headlines and things like that. And in order to do that, you have to just push stuff out there, and you get rewarded based on aggregator pieces as in favor of the quality of your work. So that gets rewarded, and instead of getting, I don't know, $100 a story, $150 for like a good story, you have to get a few hundred based on like 30 or 25 or something like that.
Wow.
Because you got to make sure you're just putting things out there.
Right.
So that's kind of annoying. And it's like, really, if you're doing so many things on a weekly or monthly basis, how are you expected to keep the quality up if you're going to, just kind of just put stuff out there just to put stuff out there? Because every now and then you're just like, yo, I just want to get this out there just so that I could like just chill and just work on the next one instead of focusing on the quality of your work. So I feel like quality journalism to some degree has been lost. And now people, and another thing, this pisses me off, people just read headlines. I can keep going, man. How much time we got? People just
Not enough for you to keep complaining.
Right. But people
Thank you, man.
people just read headlines of stories, like, because you could write one of those stories, right? And there's another thing, aggregator pieces, like, they want you to have, like, a catchy headline. Yo, look at this cool play that happened. Or LeBron James had great passes yesterday.
He did.
So then, like, it's like, whatever.
did.
Oh, retweet. That's it. Not going to click on that because I know what happened yesterday. But instead of, like, putting a really good story out there, and even sometimes when you do put a really good story out there, somebody's just going to read the headline, repost it, like it, whatever the case may be. So,
So Brian's pretty much angry at everybody.
Read, damn it. That's basically what I'm saying.
That's the problem, man. No one's gonna read.
Brian, my
That's
pet
fine.
peeve-
That's fine because I'm creating my own space because I'm doing everything.
All right, Dex.
See, he's letting people know.
I support you, Brian. I
Brian's
support
letting
it.
them know what time it is. That's what Jasmine was talking about.
He
Sometimes
always
you
lets
gotta let people
everybody know
know.
what time it is.
My pet peeve.
Brian, fuck
God,
Well,
if I
one
could
of my
curse.
pet peeves is, and I was saying this to Matt before we started this, is I can't stand when people start saying phrases and they'll be like, I don't mean to be rude, but or
But they're about to be rude.
Or
Yeah.
my favorite is, yo, I'm not being racist, but I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
Yo, once you start with I'm not being racist, and then you go to but, yo, you probably gonna say something that's real racist. I'm just always like, whenever somebody's like, yo, I'm not trying to be, I'm be like, just don't. Just stop right there.
Wait. I have a question.
You don't just be like, just stop. I'm like, nah.
What if it's something like, oh, I'm not trying to be a D, right?
Don't. Same thing.
Don't say it.
Yo, or not to sound with, not to sound like, I don't want to be
like. Here's what you can do. Just don't be that.
Rude, but
don't be rude.
Wait, what if you say like, I'm gonna be? This is gonna sound like a dick, but or like, no. Wait, what was the other one that I just had in my head? Oh, like, yo, this is gonna sound rude, but I'm gonna say it anyways.
I feel like there's a way to do it.
So just how about find a way that it doesn't sound rude?
Nah, man, because there's some things that you're just gonna say.
So then don't preface it. Just be rude already. Be racist already.
Look.
Don't preface it. Like
everybody up here wants authenticity.
Don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. Right?
Yeah. No,
don't ask permission, ask forgiveness.
Ask forgiveness, right? Say what you feel after. Say what you feel already. Be about that. You can't. There can't be no half stepping with this. That's like, I'm gonna be half racist here. Like you either racist.
Hold on. But I need an example now of the thing that someone said to you to your face. I don't mean to be racist, but
what they say.
When somebody said to me, yo, I don't mean to be racist.
If somebody said that to me, I'm already looking at them crazy.
You know, I'm trying to think of something in a work situation where this happened.
A work situation?
I'll tell you one. Here's one. I got one. It's a really good question, my Brian.
Listen, everyone listen.
I used to personal train, so I was working at a gym. At the time, it was in like Bay Ridge area. So
right, demographic.
Like. Yeah, you know, demographic there is like. I was with some other people around me who were of color, and I was with some other trainers. And at the front of the gym, obviously, a lot of people will come in and they go to where the gym area is. So this is in the front of the gym, and there was a restaurant near there, and this girl comes in, very attractive woman,
white woman.
No, black woman.
Okay.
Very attractive black woman. Walks in, some of the guys that were there in the front were looking at this woman. And, kind of everybody looked and acknowledged that she was a good-looking woman. That's all it was. Thanks. This girl who's there, and I knew she was Italian, so no disrespect to my Italian people who are not racist, so not saying that, but she worked at the store. She noticed all of the guys looking at this woman, and clearly I think she felt some kind of way, that the attention was not on her. So she then turned and said, oh, she's pretty. She said, I don't want to be. Then she caught herself. She stopped there and said, yo, I don't mean to be racist when I say this, and then looked at me, which I was like, this is not gonna end. This is not gonna end well. And she was like, I don't mean to be racist, but she's pretty for a black girl. So I was like,
walk out.
What does that mean? That she's pretty for a black girl. Like, now I understand where all that comes from because the standards of beauty in this country maybe don't necessarily reflect women that look like you, Jazmine. So this is where this comes from. But I checked her on that, and I came at her like that, like, yo, that's racist. Nah, it's not racist.
100%.
I'm just saying, like, she's really pretty. But you also added for a black girl. So that's pretty racist.
I thought you were gonna go somewhere else with that.
Yeah, no, that's where it was. That's one. It's happened to me a few times in a professional setting, and that was one of the times I had to not get into where keeping it real could have gone wrong. I checked her on it and questioned it, but I didn't check her the way I wanted to check her on it. Somebody else, maybe not as restrained as me, might have checked her in another way. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not advocating for anybody to have any violence, but that's all I can say on that. So that was one situation I remember, Brian, where that did happen. And, yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's Matt, you got one.
That's one of my pet peeves.
Matt, you got one.
I could do three real quick and
go
give you life lessons. Number one, wear deodorant. No one likes stinky people. Number two,
especially in the summer.
Number two, be motivated. If you're not, you're just wasting your life because you only got one life.
Word.
And you got to go.
Unless you believe in reincarnation.
Matthew Feniza's inspiration hour.
Number two, don't smack your lips when you're eating because one day you're gonna be eating with an executive and they're not gonna like you for it.
Nobody likes anybody for that.
That's what I'm saying. So don't smack your lips, wear deodorant, and be motivated. Luis. Voice of Luis.
What?
Oh yeah, that's Lewis, right. The voice of Lewis debuted last
week. The voice of Lewis. I
only have. What's that?
There's not a lot of things that really piss me off.
The voice of Lewis.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
Why did you call me that last week?
Because you were just a random voice that
Yeah, you
popped
came
in
out
the
of nowhere.
show.
You popped on the show.
Just 2 weeks ago.
What did I say?
I don't
Nothing.
remember.
It doesn't matter. Can we hear
Nothing.
Nah, the only real thing that really bothers me, because there's nothing that really does, is when people lie to me, and that's like something a little more serious. Where
Yeah, me
just
too.
don't.
I thought you were
lie.
gonna say girls that don't like,
What? Don't what?
Nothing mind.
All right, yeah, and that right there.
Let's not go there.
Stop that sentence right there, buddy. Okay. No, but in general,
I'll
I just hate it-
antagonize you off air.
I just hate it when like people lie to me in my face, and usually, for the most part, I consider myself an honest person, and I, say how I feel, and I try to say it, in not a harsh way, or just like just as a recommendation,
Yeah.
like, yo, this is how I feel, So if you
My
lie
type
to
of
me and there's
person.
no point of lying, then like why would you just say something that's completely wrong? And then I personally just hate that, and I found out people who did lie to me, and I just look
Can't
at them
look at them
differently,
the
and then
same,
after that, I
right?
just can't be cool with you anymore, because it's like,
Yeah, you can't look at him the same.
if I'm honest with you 100% of the time, and then if something's so minute that you're gonna lie to me right in front of my face, then how could I trust you in the future? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got another
Shout out
pet
to the
peeve.
voice of Lewis.
Yeah. Exactly. There.
I got
The
one
voice of
more.
Lewis.
Wait,
with great
no,
advice.
Maddie P.
We got Maddie P.
Oh, yeah.
when we're out.
Maddie
Maddie
P.
Maddie P, what's up? What really
My favorite
grinds your gears?
videographer.
Maddie P. Yeah, Maddie
Oh,
P.
yeah,
He's
y'all
my
got-
favorite. I always loved when he would call me.
I forgot y'all got history.
Y'all gotta say it like that.
Yo, I was.
Go ahead, Maddie
Yo,
P.
usually I make that joke. But this time
Lewis.
it's you.
Wait, we can't hear Maddie P.
Lewis is my pet peeve. Especially when I just walk into the office and he just starts talking to me about Tinder. For like no reason whatsoever. No, why?
No, you don't get a response. No, you don't get a response.
No rebuttal.
No.
About
no.
Tinder.
Well,
Right.
next time when we're on,
Let's wrap
we're
this
on
up.
the
On
Hard
that
Sell
note.
podcast when we wrap
One of
it
my
up.
pet peeves is
Next
people not
time-
sharing the podcast after they're honest. So Jazmine, don't be one of those people.
What?
Yo,
Oh, shit.
Make sure
yo,
that
he's trying to strong arm people into sharing the podcast.
I will share the podcast.
Who?
Make sure y'all share my podcast.
I don't know.
We will share your podcast. Before you go, could we just talk about how important it is for, all of us here are independent
each other.
media creators, but just how important it is for us to support each other. Because obviously you're an
And
independent
that's why it's a pet peeve.
media creator. And no, seriously, because Brian brought up a good point. I feel like it's something that should be addressed on this podcast.
Yeah.
Take note.
Just
Take
to have,
note on
we've
this.
had independent folks here, people who work for
I'd
established
say majority
outlets,
of the people we've had are independent.
are on doing some independent things. So too, this is the second week in a row my mic is falling.
Come on, Dex.
We have a
but-
joke for that, but, we
But
don't
how
know.
important do you think it is for us to, just to be able to support each other in that way?
Yo, I feel like supporting each other is vital to this. Like, you always got to reach back and get somebody, and you.
Yep.
It's stronger people. If all of us are together, coming up together in this game, then we're more of a force. So absolutely, it's so important. And it's funny you say that. I kind of got a question for you guys, being that I am, a reporter.
Oh, we don't take
and
we
a
don't take many questions, so we'll
broadcaster.
take it.
So you're gonna take my questions.
Yeah, we'll take your questions.
How do you guys feel, at this moment as independent journalists, broadcaster, reporter, writer, whatever your title may be? Where you at in your journey? Where you are in your journey? Do you ever get discouraged? Do you ever feel like it's not going to happen? Has your idea of success changed as the journey has progressed?
That's a great question.
What does success mean to you now?
I think I think it's a good question to ask because I would assume Brian's vision of it is going to be a little different than mine, based on our age difference. And no, it's just
How old are you,
truth.
Mike?
Huh?
How old are you?
30.
You're 30. Okay. You're
He's so lying.
He's not 30.
He's not 30.
He's around
He's not
25.
30.
He's around
24.
25, everyone. 24.
You really thought I would be? You think I could pass for 30?
I mean, you have a beard, so you never know.
Damn.
No,
She
but
said
I
you look
think
old,
I'm
son.
not to say you look old. No, I'm not saying
How
that.
old-
She said you look old,
Okay.
son.
How old do you think I am?
Same age as Ryan now. I think maybe 25.
He's not.
Nah, he's
Nice.
20. I just turned 24, man.
Yeah.
Give
I'm
it a-
20.
21?
I'm 20.
You're 20? It's
Yeah.
the beard that you guys are making. You guys
Yeah.
look older.
And how do you think Lewis
But the
is?
beard is in now.
But see, without a beard, he looks like a kid. He looks like an 18.
But this is why I
Yikes.
said about
It's
this
just
is-
a beard.
This is
Walk
why I
out,
said what I
Luis.
said about the
Go walk
goatee.
out. Go walk out.
Like it just doesn't look right. But anyway, but yeah.
Okay, so no.
Yeah, but
So
let's-
to wrap up,
to wrap
your
it up, to
question,
answer your question, I'll let Brian go
I'll
first.
start because you're gonna have a more elaborate answer.
All right,
being
I'm gonna
that
keep it tight,
You
but
have
yeah.
you have more experience, but like with me, like I would say that I was at that point. I guess at a couple different times, but not recently. Even though, like, yeah, sure,
you want to make more money, you want to get to this place fast, you want to whatever. Like, I have way too much self-confidence now to feel like that. So I just look at it that way, and I know, I don't care how this sounds, I know how good I am compared to most of the people that I worked with, work against, work for, whatever the case may be, and a lot of the other people I see. So I'm like, I kind of subscribe to the theory of if you work hard enough, then people are going to discover you, people are going to find it. It's sort of like an if you build it, they'll come sort of thing.
Right.
And, you know, being independent, I've gotten far enough now. So I'm like, hey, like, I'm not really thinking about, oh, what if I fail type of thing now. I'm like, I've created a position now, and just to wrap this up, and I've created a position now where I actually have options. Like, I can look at things and not feel pressed to take an offer just because, oh man, this will give me a certain amount of money or this will give me that prestige. Like, I don't care about networks as much as like I used to, because now the world is kind of different. You know what I mean? So I just, So you have to try and get people that are independent and good at what they do and work hard.
Yeah, for me, I think that, you know, at some point it'd be crazy for me to say that I never felt down or disappointed about where things were going in my career. I mean, but what I would say to people is always that you have to try to make something out of it. The place when I felt the most down about something in my career actually had me start one of the best things for my career, which is backpack broadcasting. So that's something I always hold on to. So even if there's other things that I do in my career that I don't feel is going as well or is not going the way I want to, I always kind of come back to that and what inspired me to create backpack broadcasting and do some of the things I do now. I never thought 7 years ago when I created that I would be sitting and doing this podcast, right? And to even sit and talk to you or have people like Matt and Lewis learning a lot of production. And that's something I wanted to do, was to be able to help other people. So that's kind of been, to answer one of your questions was, what's your definition of success? My definition of success was to be able to do what I love and to help other people grow. So to be able to give platforms to people like Brian or yourself or Lewis or Matt or whoever, to me, that's, I'm already successful. Like, I say this not to be morbid, but if I died tomorrow, would I truly be happy with what I've accomplished in terms of media? Yeah, I would. Because I've done stuff that people would dream of doing. So have you. And I think as long as we're all grateful in that and grounded in that gratitude of what we're doing and believe in what we're doing and there's a purpose in doing that, it's going to be okay. Brian made a good point. I think I'm at the point where, yeah, we need money and you want security, you want things. So I'm not trying to act like
journalists
that stuff
are underpaid
matter.
too, not just teachers, guys.
I'm not going to say that all this stuff doesn't matter, but I really want to inspire everybody to be as creative as they can be. So Matt could be the best producer, you can be the best journalist, you could be, Brian could be the best journalist, Lewis could be the best photographer, Matty P can be the best Wizards fan and producer and whatever he does. Like inspiring people to be the best of what they want to be is true fulfillment to me. And so, yeah, but I still think as somebody going through the industry, doesn't mean I don't have days where I'm not frustrated.
That's true.
About things in the industry, because there are things in the industry, like Brian said, and things that I've seen going on at jobs that frustrate me. Like when I see people who aren't as talented, or I see people of color get passed over for certain positions at jobs I've worked, that does frustrate me. But what grounds me is at the end of the day, I know, yo, what I'm doing is real, and I'm keeping it real, and it's not going wrong. It's going all right with backpack broadcasting, and that ain't hard to tell. And that's the end of this episode, and that was a damn good wrap up.
Take note.
Take credit for that. We want to thank our guest, Jazmine August, for joining us, representing Brownsville. You can find her. I am Jazz TV. Did I get that right? I'm Jazz August TV. Excuse me. And she is the host of the Unapologetic Podcast, which you can find on SoundCloud. Jazmine, we hope to have you back again.
I would love to come back.
At least before the next Nipsey Hussle album drops.
For sure.
I don't know when that's going to be.
Right. Nipsey took a long time to get this one.
It could be a while before that one. Well, we need to see before then. All right. For Jazmine August and Brian Fonseca, I'm Dexter Henry signing off for episode 24 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
I should have said that as my pick.
I don't miss Gordon Hayward. Not one bit. I don't miss Gordon Hayward.
I'm a Cap.
What's your birthday in August?